Hello everybody, welcome to this webinar on demonstration of the Practice Coaching platform, where we will be covering some of the new additions that we've added to the site. My name is Magali De Castro and I will be facilitating your walkthrough today. If you have any questions, feel free to type them into your chat screen and then either Vicky, Stuart or myself will address those. Type them through, if you like, throughout the presentation, and then I will address all the questions at the end. So let's get started. Again, welcome to the Practice Coaching demonstration. The Practice Coaching website was developed by the Southeastern Melbourne PHN as a way to provide practices with an ongoing tool to not just have access, sort of 24/7 access to training and CPD for the entire practice team, but also as a way to provide a bit of kind of virtual support or self-guided support specifically with chronic disease and health promotion. I will show you a bit of how all of that works shortly. First of all, I just want to make sure that you know or learn how to access the site. There are a couple of ways that you can access the platform. You can either type it directly into your browser. So if you just type in the URL practicecoaching.com.au, you will reach the website, and this is the homepage. This is what it looks like. You should have the sample on the screen at the moment. If you can't find it that way, or if you forget, or you find it just easier to do via Google perhaps, you can actually just type it into Google Practice Coaching, and obviously Google can be a little bit fickle with who they give priority to and how the results show up, but at the moment we are appearing as the #1 result when you do a search. When you land on the website, the main thing that you'll realize is that you've got, obviously, at the very top you have the chronic disease, health promotion, and the names of the other 3 modules that we've included. But at the bottom you'll also find that there's additional training. So this is training that we're linking to from this site, but it's not necessarily directly part of the coaching website. So there's additional training on cold chain, and there's also additional training on accreditation. For the moment though, the first thing that I would want you to go through is I'd get you to click on sign in or register, which is how we would go into our next area. And this is where you would have access to a video, where this is essentially like a testimonial and quick overview video where we have practice managers, nurses and GPs from the catchment who have gone through the platform, and they're kind of talking about their experiences. But here is also where you can log in once you already have your credentials, or if you're new to the site, then you will just simply click on register at the bottom to enter your details and set up your practice. Now, this form is recommended you only fill this out ideally if you are, say, the practice manager or the person setting up the clinic kind of for the first time. If you're a staff member or practice team member within a practice that has already been set up, then I will show you later on how to add more people under your own practice. But otherwise you'll be creating multiple kind of overall clinics in here for your practice. So here's fairly straightforward. You just fill out the details to register. Just make sure under organization name, if you're an individual provider, you're not affiliated with any particular practice, you can just write NA for not applicable, or just write individual provider. Once you're done filling out this form, just click on register and you will get immediate access to the platform. So this is what we call your home page inside the website. Here you'll actually have access to all of the modules. So as I was talking about before, we've got the chronic disease and the health promotion module. They're the main sort of core components. With the chronic disease, we're looking at things like, obviously, chronic disease management. Specifically, it talks a lot about care planning, GP management plans, team care arrangements, and all of that. And with the health promotion module, it's looking more at, obviously, health promotion and prevention initiatives in your practice. So things like all the health assessments are discussed in here as well. You'll find now, if you've already been using the practice coaching site, you'll find that very recently we've added 3 additional modules. One on Introduction to Immunizations, which is fantastic for either practice staff who are new to immunizations, say new nurses, or for any staff who has been doing or administering immunizations but wants a bit of a refresher. We also have a triage in general practice, which is a fantastic resource for the entire practice team, but particularly clinics may find it useful to train new admin staff. And the 3rd new module that we have is called Cycles of Care, and this one actually covers the asthma and the diabetes cycle of care. I will go through those in a little bit more detail later. To give you an example of what happens, remember how I was talking about the chronic disease and health promotion modules are the core modules. The reason for this is if you click on, say, the health promotion module, you're taken inside the health promotion kind of course or area, and there's several components to this. The first component that you'll see is an audit. So we start with an audit. This audit is optional, it's recommended, but you don't have to do it. If you wanted to jump straight into the training, you have access to the training underneath where you see all the different kind of sub-modules, and you can sort of jump straight in. But it is recommended if you do have the time, and it takes about 35 minutes to go through this audit, to go through it, because what it does, it highlights where there might be gaps in the practice in terms of your processes around either health promotion or chronic disease management. There are 2 audit tools. One is for the health promotion component and one is for the chronic disease component. They're quite similar, but obviously they are assessing different things in your clinic. So the way it works is if you click on Start, it'll launch the audit tool, and very simply you would just go through here and write, depending on the question, answer with the tick boxes, yes, partially, or no. So just click on those check boxes, and then you can actually save partial audits along the way. The advantage of doing this is once you've completed this, you will get a rating for each one of the sections of how well your practice is performing. So it might be a rating of A if you're doing fantastically, B if there's some gaps, and C if there's a considerable number of gaps. In addition to this, what it allows the platform to do is to recommend individual lessons or sub-modules based on your results. So it kind of targets their recommendations based on your audit tool. Again, it's not a requirement, but it is obviously a nice thing, and it gives you a good base to start from. Inside your actual module, once you complete it, this is sort of what it'll look like. It'll say your audit tool is complete. You can re-access those results at any time. From the left, you'll also see that you've got a menu that gives you immediate access to all the different areas. So you can jump again to the audit tool, to your training library, or to your resources. You'll see even from this My Activities page or kind of summary page, you have access underneath to all of the different courses or lessons, which obviously you can undertake at any time, and it tracks the progress of how you're doing. Obviously, here we can see that the first 2 sub-modules are completed, and as soon as they're completed, you see that it triggers a certificate button there. You can revisit any modules and kind of go through the contents again, or if you've got any, or if you wanted to download any of the resources that the modules talked about, there's always the resources section. So I'll show you a little bit about what the modules look like. So once you click into a module, they're divided into kind of sub lessons, and these lessons usually include a video and a mini quiz. So the video obviously has the bulk of the content of that lesson, and then there's a fairly basic mini quizzes at the end, just to kind of use as a bit of a reflection and checkpoint, to make sure that obviously you've well, not so much that you paid attention, but also that gives you an opportunity to check that you've actually picked up some of the new information. And this is also when you fill out the mini quizzes, this is actually how it can detect that you're progressing through the modules, and this is how it actually moves that progress bar along. If you were to click on back to training library, remembering that you can you can access the training library at any point. And you will see again in the training library, we've got subsections here for GPs, nurses, or practice staff. This was added as a recommendation after we had the platform going for a while, and people said, oh look, sometimes, you know, depending on your discipline, you want to just jump straight into what's going to be most relevant to you. We said that's fine, so we've added those in, but everyone will have access to all of the modules. Here you'll see that the ones that are changing to green are the ones that are completed, so it's sort of tracking again how you're going, and you can print certificates from this page as well. In terms of what the certificates look like, you can see here what they look like. You can download them at any point, you can print them out, and they're actually a fantastic resource for accreditation, to be able to demonstrate that you're doing in-house training on a regular basis. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to show you again is that resources tab, and each one of the sections has its own resources tab, and that's where you can download all the different either wall charts or resources that we talk about during those videos and modules. Now, the other thing that I wanted to bring up is you can actually track the progress of individual staff members from this central area. So remember how I said when you first register a practice, try and make sure that the initial registration is done under a practice manager's email, so that the practice manager then can actually have additional or add staff members underneath and track their progress if they so desire. The way that you would add additional staff members is you would go into your home. So you just click on the home tab at the top, and it'll take you again into that home page that or the main page that we landed on as soon as we registered, or when we ever log in. And in here you'll see that you've got this link called My Profile. When you click on My Profile, it'll bring up again all the details of your practice that you registered with, and at the bottom it's actually got this tab for individuals. So here we're actually already tracking 2 individuals. If you wanted to add an additional individual, you just click on Add Individual, enter their details, and the main thing that I need to highlight here is that they need to have, so every staff member that you enter needs to have their own email address. So if they do not have a work email address, so say for example if all your nurses in your clinic all have the same email, they're all nurse@mymedicalcenter.com.au, then you will have to either use their personal email or some other sort of individual email. It does not work. Every different login in order to track needs to have their own email address. So once you complete that page, you create that account, and again they'll show up under here. But more importantly, wherever you're in whatever section of the platform, and you can actually jump to any sections of the platform from any of these tabs at the top here, you'll actually be able to see those staff members that you've entered and see the progress of, you know, where they're at with each and every single module. Okay, now I wanted to again show you briefly what the 3 new additional modules cover. So these are very recent. They've only been up for about a month, I think. And as I said, there's an immunization module, a triage module, and a cycles of care module. The immunization module, again, this is an introduction to immunizations. The idea of this module is that it covers immunizations in general practice. So overall, what's the aim, or what are we trying to achieve in general practice from an immunization and obviously population health point of view. We also go into the vaccination process. So breaking it down, all of it is based on obviously evidence-based information, and very much following the guidelines of the immunization handbook. And again, obviously we reference all the different resources that we talk about. We also talk about adverse events and also resources obviously for immunization. And finally, some practice strategies to improve immunization rates at the clinic level. So again, very worthwhile. All these modules take probably, with the 3 new modules, they're under an hour each one. And again, you can just take it one lesson at a time and sort of take it at your own pace. With the triage module, the triage module covers what is triage, staff roles, and the practice process. It also looks at the triage outcomes or pathways, or a different way of saying that is, well, what are the possible scenarios or outcomes that we could have when a patient presents or rings through in a triage situation. We also look at supporting tools and resources, so things like wall charts and kind of decision tools that you can have in your practice. We also talk about urgent cases and red flag presentations, and clinical assessment and plan of action, which is obviously particularly important for clinicians, so nurses or GPs. But again, the entire module has been created with the entire practice team in mind. So a reception staff will be able to follow it without, any issues, even if they don't have any clinical knowledge. The last of the new modules is the cycles of care module, and this one is looking specifically obviously at the diabetes and the asthma cycle of care. So it provides an introduction, it looks at the components of each one, and it also talks about tips for implementation of these cycles in your practice. Again, any resources that are discussed or any kind of templates or things like that, we've added into the resources tab. If at any point you have questions from all of the any of the pages, you have access to an FAQ button at the very top right of the page, and that will actually take you to there's the FAQ page, which essentially has contact details for the PHN support team. So if you have any support queries, you can see all the contact details there. And it also includes a video recording of a webinar, not unlike this one. This webinar will replace that video, where you can actually, again, either share this demo with anyone in your practice or watch it again if you have any questions or there was anything else that you're not quite sure how to do. As you can see, it's a very user-friendly, and we've tried to make it really intuitive as a platform. It's been created for you so that you can actually, get staff to go through it at their own pace. And yeah, it's been received quite well by clinicians or by practices in the catchment. There's no restriction as to how many staff members you can register, how many clinics can register. Obviously, the support is provided for the clinics in the southeastern Melbourne PHN catchment. But even if you're outside of the catchment, you're still free to register and obviously take advantage of the lessons and the modules in there. So I hope this has been helpful. The last thing that I would recommend that you watch is, once you're finished with this module, with this webinar, go back into your practice coaching website. So type it into your browser or look it up on Google, and check out the video. That's the testimonial video of the local nurses, GPs, and managers who have done it. Because again, that's sort of quite, if you're hesitant, it can give you a bit of a good idea of the impact or how it's helped different clinics. If after this session you've got any questions, feel free to contact the Southeastern Melbourne PHN support team. You've got the phone number there, and there's also a dedicated email address for support, which is practicecoaching@semphn.org.au. I want to thank you for your time today, and again, feel free to contact us if we can help with anything else. Thank you very much.